defending champions Inter against the undefeated team of the season in Napoli. And Napoli came into this game having never lost in Serie A, having only conceded 4 goals. And they faced an Inter side that hadn't really won against direct opponents, was being criticised for it. You know, performances against Milan, performances against Atalanta, against Juve. And I do think that most of the time they deserved a lot more than they actually got. And they just dominated. They were brilliant. And do you know how I said to you that there's something about Napoli that I couldn't figure out, but I just don't ever trust them? This was why. We'll go into it later. But tell me what you think about that match.
I mean, first of all, I felt like it was wildly entertaining. I mean, actually, when Zielinski scored at the start of that game, I almost texted you because we'd had our conversation talking about who was going to be winter champions. And I was like, well, it's Napoli. Look, I mean, Napoli are here. They're playing good. It was a lovely goal from Zielinski. And it was such a sort of, I don't know, I felt in that moment, I was like, that's a statement goal. You know, he's robbed Barella in midfield. He's taken it forward. Insigne's played that beautiful pass back and then straight in the top corner at San Siro. It's like it's a real way to score that goal as well as just getting the goal. And then just a complete seesaw in the opposite direction. I thought Inter were solidly the better team for most of the game, about an hour in the middle of the game. But then at the end, after Victor Osimhen gets injured, which is, of course, a disaster for Napoli that we need to talk about, Simone Inzaghi, I just think his substitutions this season, he keeps getting them wrong somehow. Dzeko and Vidal come on. The team lost something, lost some of its speed and its impetus, and Napoli then completely took control of the last 15 minutes. And I thought in the end, were quite unlucky not to draw because Mertens missed the goal from 6 yards and Spalletti did a hilarious front first collapse onto the floor, which, I mean, you look at him and think he's 62 years old. But on the other hand, I think, as I talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago, some of the stories you hear from Totti in his book about Spalletti, this is the low end of Spalletti's, how should we say, way of putting himself on display.
Okay. So you felt that the substitutions that Inzaghi had made towards the end is what really gave Napoli the impetus to try to come back into this match. Do you wonder, because I have been also relatively harsh on Simone Inzaghi and his subs, I felt a little bit sorry for him on this occasion. Not because I don't think that, once again, there's no need to take off Lautaro Martinez. He's your leader up front, so there's not always a need to constantly change all your players. But to a certain extent, I feel like Dzeko is somebody I probably would have also bought on if I had to replace someone like, replacing Correa, who was carrying a knock. Do you think that the clash of heads obviously had impacted the way that he could perform, Vidal, just after what he did for Chile, honestly, I would probably not play him for the next month, just as punishment for that, And once again, he comes and does something so stupid. This player really drives me crazy. But do you think that, Correa was injured? Maybe you understand some of those substitutions and he was unlucky? Or do you think that he just sometimes purposefully is an idiot, Oh, I love him. You know what I mean.
I don't think he's doing it on purpose. He's like, I'm going to sabotage all of this.
Just to have a challenge.
Not that cynical. This is too easy. We need to give them a chance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like at school when you're doing sports and it's like, oh, this team's winning by too much, so someone has to switch teams. Maybe they could have done that.